G'day everybody and welcome to week 22 of Susies Selections, brought to you by Sinclair Wilson.
Are you getting everything you deserve? At Sinclair Wilson, we can answer all of your financial questions, optimise your tax position and develop long-term strategies which will be very much to your advantage. Sinclair Wilson, for strength in numbers.
Well, up to the penultimate round of the AFL season, everybody. The end is in sight, and to start things off we have Geelong versus Collingwood at the MCG on Friday night. The Cats season is on the line this one, as it was last week, so they really need a win. And after what the Pies served up against Richmond last week, I don't think they're going to be able to topple the Cats, so Geelong for me. And then on Saturday we have Greater Western Sydney versus Carlton at Spotless Stadium. Carlton had a bit of a pretty big turnaround last week, much more impressive effort by them, and there'll be a few players trying to press their case for the new coach, of course, Brendan Bolton, who's been appointed for next season. They'll be wanting to impress him. So I'm expecting another good performance from them, but they're a bit hard to predict at this stage, and so I'm going to be tipping GWS as they're the safe option at home. And then we have Hawthorn versus Brisbane at Aurora Stadium in Launceston. It was a throwback to yesteryear, with Port Adelaide managing to get the job done against Hawthorn last week. A bit of a shock in that one. I'm tipping the Hawks to bounce back with a big win against the Lions. And then it's North Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs at Etihad Stadium. This should be a genuine cracker between two really good sides this season. I'm going to be tipping the Doggies in this one, purely because North, while they're very good, have proven to be pretty unreliable. You can't back them in, so Doggies for me in a close one. And then it's Essendon versus Richmond at the MCG. If the Dons couldn't get the job done last week against the Suns, I doubt they'll be able to do it against a rampaging Richmond, so I'm tipping the Tigers in an easy one. And then it's Gold Coast versus Port Adelaide at Metricon Stadium. It was the Port of old who turned up last week against the Hawks, and it was a really impressive outfit. I'm hoping for more of the same this week against the Suns, and I'm tipping them to get a good win. And then on Sunday we have Adelaide versus West Coast Eagles at Adelaide Oval. This will be a massive one. Of course, Adelaide can tie up a spot in the finals and end Geelong's hopes if they get the win here. But West Coast has been very impressive of late, and even on the road should be able to get the win. So I'm tipping and hoping for the Eagles. And then we have St Kilda versus Sydney at Etihad Stadium. The Saints did very well under the roof last week, of course, forcing a tie with Geelong. Possibly could have won it. So I'm tipping another good game from them, but I think it's hard to go past the Swans. They're a classy outfit and should get the win. And finally in the AFL we have Fremantle versus Melbourne at Subiaco. So it turns out Fremantle can lose 2 weeks in a row, but they won't make it 3. So I'm tipping them to get a good win over the D's, who were pretty disappointing. Over to the Hampton League for the final time, round 18 of course, last round of the home and away season. To start things off we have Cobden versus Portland at Cobden Recreation Reserve. It'd be really good to see the Bombers win this one. They've done pretty well this year considering how young their list is, but it's been a tough last month or so for them. It'd be great to end the year with a bit of a win, and they're in with a chance against Portland, who is of course one spot behind them on the ladder. So Bombers for me. And then we have South Warrnambool versus Hamilton at Friendly Societies Park. The Roosters should be able to get the job done pretty easily against the bottom side Hamilton. And then it's Koroit versus Camperdown at Victoria Park. The Magpies did a great job last week against North Warrnambool Eagles. A bit of an unexpected win for them, and hopefully they carry that momentum into a really good performance this week against the Saints. Can they get a scalp 2 weeks in a row? I'm not sure about that one, so I'm going to be sticking with the reigning premiers, but I hope for another good outing from the Magpies. And then it's North Warrnambool Eagles versus Warrnambool at Bushfield Oval. North Warrnambool will be looking for an improved effort from last week as they head into finals, and hopefully for their sake they do produce it, but I don't see them getting past the Blues, so I'm tipping Warrnambool in this one. And finally we have Terang Mortlake versus Port Fairy at Terang Recreation Reserve. I tipped the Bloods to get an upset win last week, and it didn't really pay off for me. Of course I lost to Warrnambool, but if there's one thing I've learned about myself, it's that I never learn my lesson, and so I'm tipping the Bloods in another upset win. Hopefully it pays off this time against Port Fairy, who are in pretty good nick at the moment, but it'll be something the Bloods really need to give them a bit of momentum going into finals. And that's it for this week everybody. Thank you once again for tuning in. I hope to see you all next week